Okay, last one. Let's see here. Oh, actually, let me back up. I think there was a pinwheel in here you wanted me to comment on. So let me just go ahead and do that very quickly. Where was it? Was it with this knot before the table? Oh yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. So this one. So again, stopped here, and the dog lands knowing where they're going. So you can see it, not going for any of the traps. Leave the turn, right? So this is a huge trap, but your dog is already angled properly. You've already created the proper line. Yeah, so creating it, thinking about it in two lines, right? Like a lot of people are just going to draw a curve here, but understanding that your dog needs to go here, it's going to turn here, they're going to kind of jump this way, you got to create a sharp turn this way, and so basically knowing that there's going to be two decel spots. Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, okay. So basically my comment is very good. I think you're getting a better sense of the lines your dog is going to take on pinwheels. I, we don't always get them right, but whoa, okay, I did not see a front cross coming here at all. So we have a little bit of ballerina tiptoe steps. This is also a very common thing handlers do. Uh, there you can see it pretty good. It's not what we need. It's not really a cue for the dog. Basically, you're continuing motion forward, and that's almost always a green light to extend, to accelerate. So, I call that the dribbling motion. What we need to do, again, is get there fast, dead stop, and then change direction. And eventually, like right now, I'm focused on getting this stop in before the dog decides to take off. But ultimately, and this is key here, this is only half of the lesson. This is only half of the lesson. Ultimately, we want to get to where you are moving in the new direction while your dog is still coming into the jump. If that doesn't blow your mind, so that your dog will stay committed to this jump while you're moving away. And that's when you're going to start to get really good turns where instead of taking off here, your dog's going to take off over here, from here to here. All right, so this is just remarkably late. As the dog takes off, you should already be stepping out to the new direction. Um, let's see. Yeah, pinwheel here. A little shoulder rotation-y for my taste, but sometimes, um, so what I mean is like here you're rotating through as the dog approaches, and I would just stay stopped facing this way, bring this turn in, and then move. So I would run more of a triangle rather than rotating in place. Uh, but it did not have a negative effect at all on the dog. But in general, that's traditional pinwheel handling. And so I generally like to avoid that. There are some places it really doesn't matter, and that's one of them. Here you have an L-shaped path on your rear. So you're setting up the rear this way. But I think the dog does a nice job of reading it. Same thing here. I do like the double rear here. But the problem, because you set up the L-shaped here, now when you cut across here, you're too far behind because you've had to do too much distance. So the way I would run it is I look at this in the walkthrough. So in the walkthrough, I know I'm going to double rear. I'm never going to run it like this. Instead, I'm going to look at this wing here and this wing here. And I'm going to draw a line between those two wings, and that's my line. So I'm going to run that line. And I may need to slow down to let my dog get those jumps, and then I'm going to run the next line. All right, and that's how I'm going to avoid what you ran into. So again, here, I stop. Stop right here next to this one. let my dog get ahead of me, and as soon as my dog's crossing me or ahead of me, I cross this way. I do not go this direction and this and this. That's longer yardage. If I straighten out this Z, it's much longer than this diagonal line. More importantly, when the dog takes off here, see how you're rotating and coming back this way? I'm not. My last thing that the dog saw at takeoff and landing is this, and that pressures the dog to take a different line, which is to this jump rather than to come in. Here it looks like you want the dog to come in between the jumps. Whether the dog should or should not is another issue. The dog in general, yeah, a little bit of a low arm here. I generally use like a high arm to get out, opposite arm to throttle this way, and if I want the dog to come in and take something, it's going to be a bypass cue, the flappy tappy, patting my thigh. So those are the three options the dog can have after I rear cross in that situation. Let's see, double rear cross after the weaves didn't work well. Your lines were too severe. Yeah, so the lines were too severe because you didn't set it up right. And you were doing L shape, so we talked about that. You needed one more step to the 180 jump before leaving. Yes, I agree with that. That's a good way of thinking about it. But fixing your line also might have helped that. And let's see, you knocked the bar out of the tunnel. Let's take a look. 2, 3. Oh, yeah, that jump's too close. 1, 2. Yeah, you can see 2 is too far away. 1, 2. 2 is too far away, and 3 is too close. So this is to me, this is a judge spacing thing. Your dog just turned so well out of the tunnel. In fact, I wonder if the tunnel moved with the running of the class. It's too close. 1, 2. This is too close. This is, yeah, because I really don't like to see this, because if you're the judge, you got to know that if the dog makes a 90-degree turn, this is an awkward 2 hit. There, I guarantee you there's not 20, like if we rolled her path, there's not 20, 21 feet or anything like that. And then here and here, especially if the dog runs it on from this wing to this wing, I mean, this can't be more than 17 feet. 1, 2, and the dog is immediately up. You know, if your dog's like 4.5 feet, 5 feet from tail, head to tail, I mean, look, this is not even, I mean, those 2 jumps are ridiculously close. Like one of those bars is going to fall. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you see how the dog can jump comfortably here, right? 1, 2, and 3. 3 hits with a curve. And so if we check the spacing between here and here, obviously it's much wider than the spacing between here and here. So just this spacing, no good. This spacing, it looks to me like almost twice as much. You know, I know it's illusion from camera angle, but obviously the spacing is not ideal here. So this is not something I'm going to be upset with the dog at all. It's really tough for them to make it. Overall, you're continuing to look better. Pinwheel handling in those 2 spots was great. Hopefully you understand what I'm talking about. The shoulder rotation, you just want to be careful with that to avoid the flickaways. On the rear cross, we want a little more stop and go on the diagonal and less L shape. Front cross, we definitely want to get in the habit. Even if you think, hey, this front cross, I started it late, get your front footwork done, get your power step forward, and reach back with your arm, look over your shoulder. That's how you're going to reconnect. But make sure that your lower body is driving forward, because that's what's going to make her tighten up that line on a late front cross.